In the heart of the ocean, where sunlight barely touched the abyss and where time seemed to stop, there existed a forgotten kingdom. Ancient legends spoke of a mystical creature that swam in the deepest trenches, an elusive fish whose scales shimmered like precious gems, reflecting all the colors of the rainbow. This creature was known as the crystal fish. Few believed in the fish's existence, as it was often dismissed as a sailor's myth, a tale told to children to spark their imaginations. But for those who believed, the crystal fish was not just a marvel of the sea, but the key to unlocking untold treasures and mysteries of the world. Chapter 1. The tale begins. Aidan Blackthorne had heard the legend since childhood. Raised in a coastal village, he would often sit by the docks, listening to the old sailors recount their adventures on the high seas. Their weathered faces, etched with stories of battles, storms, and distant lands, would light up whenever they mentioned the crystal fish. "Aidan, my boy," old Tarkin, the oldest sailor in the village, would say with a twinkle in his eye, "the crystal fish ain't just any fish. No, it's a creature of magic. Its scales, they say, are made of crystal, and anyone lucky enough to catch a glimpse will be blessed with fortune beyond imagination." Aidan had always been captivated by these stories. As he grew older, his fascination with the ocean deepened, and he longed to uncover the truth behind the myth. Many had set sail in search of the fish, but none had returned with proof. Some never returned at all. One day, as Aidan prepared to leave the village to pursue his own life as a sailor, old Tarkin handed him a worn, leather-bound journal. "This was my grandfather's," Tarkin said, his voice filled with reverence. "He was the last man I know who claimed to see the crystal fish. His writings might help you find what you seek." Aidan accepted the journal with a sense of awe. Inside were crude sketches of the fish, maps of forgotten seas, and cryptic notes that hinted at something more profound than a mere creature. There was a repeated phrase that caught his attention: "the heart of the abyss." What was this heart? Could it be the key to finding the crystal fish? Chapter 2. The voyage begins. A year had passed since Aidan received the journal. During that time, he had gathered a crew of skilled sailors and explorers who shared his vision. Among them was Lyra, a navigator with a sharp mind and an even sharper tongue, and Calder, a seasoned diver known for his bravery in the face of danger. Their ship, the Horizon's Call, was ready for the long journey ahead. Armed with the knowledge from old Tarkin's journal and maps that pointed to a remote part of the ocean, Aidan was determined to succeed where others had failed. As they set sail, excitement and anticipation buzzed through the crew. The wind filled the sails, and the ocean spread out before them, vast and mysterious. They navigated through familiar waters at first, but as the days turned into weeks, they ventured into uncharted territory. The maps led them further and further from civilization, to places where even the stars above seemed unfamiliar. It wasn't long before strange occurrences began. First, it was the sudden calm of the ocean, where no wind stirred and the water lay flat like a mirror. Then came the sightings, brief flashes of light deep below the surface, like something glittering in the darkness. Calder, ever the brave one, dived down to investigate, but each time he surfaced, he reported nothing. "There's something down there, Aidan," he said one evening, as the crew sat around a small fire on the deck. "I can feel it, the water, it's different." "Warmer, almost alive," Lyra agreed, her eyes scanning the horizon. "The compass is acting strange too. It's pulling us towards something. I can't explain it, but it feels like we're being guided." Aidan's heart raced. Could they be close to the heart of the abyss? Chapter 3. Into the abyss. Days later, they reached the edge of what could only be described as the abyss. The ocean floor dropped sharply into darkness, a trench so deep that even the most experienced sailors hesitated to venture near. But Adan was undeterred. "This is it," he said, gripping the journal tightly. "We're on the right path." The crew prepared for a descent like no other. Calder, equipped with the best diving gear they had, would go down first. He had done this 1,000 times before, but this time was different. As he stood on the edge of the ship, looking down into the inky black water, a sense of foreboding gripped him. "It'll be fine," he said, trying to shake off the feeling. "I'll signal if I find anything." The dive was long and treacherous. The further Calder went, the more oppressive the darkness became. He could feel the weight of the water pressing down on him, and yet there was a warmth, an unnatural warmth that grew stronger the deeper he went. Then he saw it. At first, it was just a faint glow, but as he swam closer, the light intensified, revealing a massive cave carved into the side of the trench. Inside, the walls glittered with crystal formations, reflecting light that shouldn't have been there. And in the center of the cave, hovering in the water like a ghost, was the crystal fish. It was more magnificent than the legends had described. Its scales shimmered with an ethereal glow, each one a perfectly cut gemstone. Its eyes, large and filled with intelligence, seemed to pierce through Calder's very soul. He signaled to the surface, but before he could react, the fish darted away, deeper into the cave. Calder followed, his curiosity overcoming his fear. But as he ventured deeper, he realized the cave was more than just a natural formation. The walls were covered in ancient markings, symbols, and patterns that pulsed with energy. Suddenly, Calder felt a sharp pain in his chest. The warmth intensified, becoming unbearable. He tried to turn back, but it was too late. Darkness engulfed him. Chapter 4. The revelation has passed, and there was no sign of Calder. Adan and Lyra grew increasingly worried. "We need to go after him," Lyra insisted, but Adan hesitated. Calder was a skilled diver if he had returned. Something must have gone terribly wrong. Finally, they made the decision to dive together. The cave was just as Calder had described, glittering walls and a warmth that defied the cold depths. As they ventured further inside, they found Calder, unconscious but alive, lying at the entrance to a hidden chamber. Inside the chamber, they saw a crystal fish, but it wasn't alone. Surrounding it were ancient relics, artifacts from a long-lost civilization. At the center of the room was a massive crystal, pulsing with light. The fish swam around it in a graceful dance, as if guarding it. Adan approached cautiously. The fish didn't flee this time. Instead, it swam closer, its eyes locked on his. He could feel its presence in his mind, like it was communicating with him. Suddenly, the truth became clear. The fish wasn't just a creature, it was a guardian, the protector of something far more powerful. The crystal at the center of the chamber was the heart of the abyss, a source of unimaginable energy. The ancient civilization that had once thrived here had harnessed this energy, but it had come at a great cost. The crystal had consumed them, draining their life force to sustain itself. The crystal fish had been created to guard it, to ensure that no one else would fall victim to its power. Adan realized then that the legend of the crystal fish had been a warning, not a promise of riches. Chapter 5. A choice. With this knowledge, Adan faced a choice. He could attempt to harness the power of the heart, risking everything in the process, or he could leave it undisturbed, ensuring that its dangerous energy remained hidden. Lyra was clear in her stance. "We've seen what this thing can do, Adan. It's not worth the risk." Calder, still weak but conscious, agreed. "We barely made it out alive. Let's leave this place and never speak of it again." Adan knew they were right, but the temptation was overwhelming. The power of the heart could change the world, end hunger, cure diseases, reshape society. But at what cost? In the end, Adan made his decision. He took one last look at the crystal fish, its eyes filled with ancient wisdom, and turned away. As they ascended to the surface, leaving the abyss behind, the warmth faded, replaced by the cold, familiar embrace of the ocean. The legend of the crystal fish would remain just thought a legend, and the heart of the abyss would stay hidden, its secrets buried in the depths where they belonged. But Aden knew one thing for certain: the ocean was far more mysterious and powerful than anyone could ever imagine. Epilogue. The legacy years passed, and Aden never returned to the abyss. He sailed the seas, exploring new lands and uncovering new mysteries, but the memory of the crystal fish remained with him always. He never told anyone about the heart of the abyss, not even his